What's going on, hockey friends? We are back, and today we have a very interesting topic at hand here. The Seattle Kraken now officially have a roster of players, and I'm going to take a look at their team and try and see if we can get an idea of how this team will do come October and the start of the season. Now obviously this is all subject to change. We're just a few days into free agency and about 3 months away from the NHL regular season starting, so a lot of things can happen between now and then, but I think the core is pretty much set in stone, and I'm also going to take a look at Seattle's prospects and try and rank their prospect pool relative to the other NHL teams. So let's jump straight into it. Now we're going to start off with their goaltending, and I think they have a really good goalie tandem here with Chris Driedger and free agent signing Philip Grubauer. Now I'm guessing Grubauer is going to be the starter, and he's coming off some very good seasons in Colorado where he put up great numbers. The question is if that's a product of playing behind one of the best defenses in the league, or if that's just him. And I think he can hold his own here in Seattle. The contract is good, he's got good underlying stats, and I mean he was nominated for the Vezina, so he is good. Chris Driedger is also a very good pick in my opinion. It was a no-brainer pick from Florida, and the Kraken signed him to a 3-year deal at $3.5 million, which I think is a reasonable deal. I like Driedger, he's coming off a good season in Florida, and while he's not Fleury who Vegas got in their expansion draft and what he meant for them, Driedger is still a good pickup, and this tandem with Grubauer and Driedger is looking like it's going to be a very good tandem, so I'm a massive fan of what Seattle have done here. Looking at the defensive end of the Seattle team, we have what you probably have to consider the star name and the poster boy for this team, Mark Giordano. Now just like Driedger, Giordano is not Marc-Andre Fleury and what he meant for Vegas, but he's a big name and someone you market and sell jerseys with. There was talk about him getting flipped after the draft, but I think when they present the players in the flesh with the jersey on, they're here to stay, and Mark Giordano being your big minute defenseman is good. He obviously won the Norris Trophy a few years ago, and he still got some juice left in the tank. Seattle also acquired and signed former Edmonton Oiler Adam Larsson to a 4-year deal at $4 million, which I think is a pretty good deal. Now I think most of us associate Larsson with the one-for-one memes, but jokes aside, he is very good defensively, and he's not going to get you any big points, but he can play in the top 4 and be good defensively, which I think this team is going to need. The big rig Jamie Oleksiak was also signed by Seattle, but he signed a 5-year deal at $4.6 million, and again, it's pretty much the same story as it is with Larsson. Won't get you too many points, but he does his job defensively. I'm also a fan of Seattle picking Vince Dunn, a good defenseman with a cup under his belt, and I think he can be a really good top 4 defenseman for Seattle. So those are the big names on the defensive end. They also picked up some young NHL defensemen in Hayden Fleury, a very good pick from Anaheim. Jeremy Lauzon, which again is a good pickup, and although he's a bit older, Carson Soucy is also a solid pickup. And overall, I think the defensive core for Seattle is actually very good. It won't blow your socks off, and it doesn't have any Norris Trophy caliber players, but it's by no means the worst defensive core in the league. And Mark Giordano is still good. He's not the Giordano of 2 years ago, and he's dropped off with his points production, but he's still capable of hovering around half a point per game, which is good enough for now, and who knows who Seattle could be trading or signing in a year or two. So yeah, overall, good defensive core. Thumbs up from me. As for the forward core, the big names are pretty good to be fair. I really like Jordan Eberle and Yanni Gourde. And Jonas Donskoy and Jared McCann are very solid middle 6 guys that can bring the secondary scoring. There you go. And then you have the big forward signing Seattle made in Jaden Schwartz, who is a very good player. He's good defensively and has the capacity to be productive. His career high is 63 points, but last year he reached 57 points, and if he can keep that up, it's a good acquisition for Seattle. I'm not too sure about the term being 5 years. That will bring him to 34 at the end of the deal, but he's most likely going to play on the first line for Seattle, so it's a price you have to pay. And the other big signing they made was Alexander Wenberg to a 3-year deal at $4.5 million. I'm not too sure about this one. He's going to play in the middle 6, and I guess he's alright. He's coming off an insane shooting percent season where he shot at 20%, which he's probably not going to do again, especially considering his previous 2 seasons where he shot at 3 and 7%, so I wouldn't expect him to go on a crazy goal scoring season again, but he's a decent 2-way forward. As for the rest of the forwards, Brandon Tanev is a pretty fun pickup. He's got speed for days, is a good penalty killer, and the only problem here is that contract, another 4 years at $3.5 million, but other than that, I like the pick. It's a good pick. And like I said earlier, I like the Jonas Donskoy pickup. He's on a pretty good contract and he can produce. So overall, the forward core is not going to wow you. They don't have that insane offensive threat and they're not going to score the most goals, but it's a good unit, and if they can gel and play their roles, I think the Seattle team could be very tough to play against. I would like to see them add some more center depth and maybe try and get a true number 1 center, but even without that, I do think this team is capable of making the playoffs. Their defensive core is very good defensively, and like I said, they don't have that big name offensive defenseman, but I don't really think they need that. I feel like this team will have some really good depth scoring, and the defense can probably shut down most opponents. I think it's a good team overall. I like their forwards, I'm a huge fan of their defensive core, and I love their goalie tandem. This team is going to be very tough to play against. I also want to take a quick look at their prospect pool. It's not the biggest in the league, but they have one of the best prospects in Matty Beniers. It's a very good selection from the entry draft. I don't have any complaints with it at all. He could have probably gone first overall, but Seattle got him in second, and they should be very thankful for that. He's creative, he's a great playmaker, and he's just a very good player overall. He could definitely turn into a top 6 center who's great on both ends of the ice, and he's probably ready to play in the NHL this season or next year. And overall, I just think it's a great pick for Seattle. It's the safe pick, but you could never go wrong with a center that projects to be in the top 6 for years to come, and it's a good foundation to build your prospect pool on. Some other players in their prospect pool are Cole Lind and Morgan Geekie. I guess those are the 2 other players here that excite me. The rest are just meh, but they have Matty Beniers, so that's a dub in my book. As for where their prospect pool ranks, I'm gonna say it's in the bottom 5 of the league, but they've only been to 1 draft, so it's not really surprising. Overall, I'm very excited to see what Seattle can do. They're in a great hockey market, I love their jerseys, and it's just exciting to have another team in the league. But I don't think we'll see another expansion franchise for a good while, and that's the way it should be. The league is perfectly balanced now with 32 teams, so let's do this, Seattle. And what do you guys think? Do you like the Seattle team? Do you think they can make the playoffs? Talk to me in the comments below. I have a lot of exciting videos planned, so if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.